We'll take next item 6. Item 6 on the order paper, which is correction of votes and proceedings and official report. We shall commence with the correction of the votes and proceedings of the third sitting dated Thursday, 17th October 2024. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Yes, honorable member.
Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, item number 5 on page 9. Mr. Speaker, the statement made by the Honorable Minority, the Honorable Atufosi, Mr. Speaker, was in respect of the fact that 4 members of Parliament whose names have been listed have breached Article 97(1)(g) and (h). It was not a mere allegation, Mr. Speaker. So the appearance of who were alleged to have been in breach, I believe that it does not reflect the true statement made by the member, because it was based on the statement that the Speaker proceeded to make, to give information that you gave to the names of the honorable members so named. Their current situations and circumstances were clearly stated in the motion paper, so that, for instance, the first name, Peter Yaokwachi Aka, the NDC member for Amenfi Central, contain these clear facts, and therefore it's important that they reflect in the proceedings.
Item, the paragraph 5, the ending statement, which is majority caucus in inverted commas. Mr. Speaker, I think the true intention will be reflected there when we say that the...
Is that okay? Yes. From the distance, I can't see. Honorable member for... You are all right? Thank you, thank you. Table office, kindly take note of the comments made by the members. Please cross-check from the records and capture what is on the record of the House. Please, page 10. Page 11. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the third sitting, dated Thursday, 17th October 2024, are adopted as the true record of proceedings. Honorable members, I don't have a copy of any of the official reports. So we'll proceed now to item 5, formal communication by the Honorable members, as you may recall, on Thursday, I informed the House, pursuant to Standing Order 18 of the Standing Orders. Yesterday, I received a process from the Supreme Court, which is a ruling from the Supreme Court pursuant to an ex parte application directing Parliament to recognize and allow the 4 affected members of Parliament to duly represent their constituents and conduct full scope of duties of their offices as members of Parliament pending the final determination of a suit filed by Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin. By Article 102 of the Constitution, 1992, and Order 64.1 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, I note that we currently have a quorum to transact business, but not to take decisions. I want to read the said Article 102 of the Constitution. It reads, a quorum of Parliament, apart from the person presiding, shall be 1/3 of all the members of Parliament. As presently constituted, the numbers definitely is far above 1/3 of the members of Parliament. But by Article 104, the numbers are not sufficient for us to take decisions. And I'll quote Article 104. Article 104.1 says, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Honorable members, we don't have at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Consequently, in view of the current circumstances, the fact that there is a question on the composition and constitution of Parliament, and having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in Parliament, I will proceed to, in accordance with Standing Orders 59, adjourn the House indefinitely. That is sine die. I want to quote Standing Orders 59.1. It says the Speaker may, in consultation with leadership, suspend a meeting of the House indefinitely or for a period determined by the Speaker, having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in the country. Honorable members, I have consulted leadership and I am exercising my discretion to decide to suspend the meeting of the House indefinitely. The House is accordingly adjourned sine die.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin there as
So if you are watching us, this is the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation's coverage of the sitting of Parliament for today, a historic day in the life of the 8th Parliament, where both caucuses maintained their assertion that they were in the majority of the chamber. The Speaker of Parliament came in not long ago and in the course of the proceedings made the House know that in the light of the ongoing wranglings, the House would have to adjourn sine die, as in the House would have to adjourn until further notice. This is in the light of Article this is in line with Article 103 and 104 of the Constitution.
Welcome back once again. Thank you very much for staying with us. You're still watching GBC News. My name is Darrell Alantego. This is a special broadcast from the House of Parliament, monitoring proceedings as they unfair. And currently, not too long ago, the Speaker of Parliament came into the chamber, called out for the both sides to join him so the business of the day could start. We monitored and realized there was only the one side of the house occupied, in which case the meaning will be that one house or one part of the house has walked out. Referring to Standing Order 59 of the House, the Speaker informed the House that although they form a quorum, they can't make or take any decisions. Going over from there, the Speaker then adjourned the House sine die, that is to say indefinitely or until further notice. What is worrying, and one that we must all avert our minds to, however, is the critical business of the House going forward before the elections. We have been made aware that there is a need for certain allies to be laid by the Supreme Court itself and the Electoral Commission. There's also the budget to be considered. All this or these have been left hanging until such a time when the matter is resolved and the House can reconvene. Let's go on the phone and speak to lawyer historian Anochi Frimpong and see if he could help us judge for ourselves where we currently are and its possible ramifications to us as a people. Thank you very much once again for joining us. Good afternoon, Dr. Anochi Frimpong.
Please, you are very welcome.
Thank you. Going forward, the House stands adjourned sine die. What will that mean to parliamentary business?
Well, let me rather go back to remind the public that just before we left off, I assured it, and I mean the public, that definitely Mr. Babe is going to say something that would sustain the peace of this country.
Right.
And he has indeed done that. And I think we would have to congratulate him. But my problem with him is that having made reference to the statement he made, ordering the 4 people to vacate their seats last Thursday, which you all know. And then 2, having made reference to occurrences in the Supreme Court on Friday, which proceeded with the service processes on him just yesterday, emanating from the Supreme Court, to halt the House from whatever it intends doing. I believe that Mr. Babe could have done the whole nation some good if he had specifically stated that the indefinite suspension of proceedings of Parliament emanates from the Supreme Court decision based on its order for stay of execution, so that at least it would manifestly show that he is giving respect to the third arm of government. But if you conclude by making references to Article 104, which says that not less than half
of the
House members of Parliament can take decisions affecting it, and based on that, to adjourn indefinitely. And then you also make reference to the public interest. What is that public interest? What is that public interest? I believe that Mr. Babe should have specifically made reference to the Supreme Court, because that is where the power is coming from. It is the Supreme Court that is protecting that public interest he refers to. So that is my only worry with him as a very seasoned lawyer, as a very respectable statesman, and above all, about the most experienced legislator we have in the country at the moment. That's my only worry with him. But going forward, I believe that based on what I said earlier, if the NDC says it doesn't give regard to what the Supreme Court says, and that they will respect what the Speaker says. And now the Speaker has adjourned the proceedings indefinitely. The good thing is that they will continue to respect Mr. Babe. And I also know that Mr. Babe, in the public interest, would wait until the Supreme Court has spoken before he reconvenes Parliament. Please, this is what is going to happen between now and the next 2 or 3 weeks when the Supreme Court will come out with this judgment. So I believe that there will be peace as usual.
Sure, that is pretty much what we all expect, that peace will prevail in this country. But let's look at some critical business of the House, which also stands adjourned indefinitely insofar as this directive by the Speaker is concerned. We have the Supreme Court itself expected to lay an ally as we go into elections 2024. Same applies to the Electoral Commission. And then the government will have to present a budget statement in a way we'll go into the first quarter of 2024.
Not have much impact on us. It doesn't have any, what do you call it, negative impact on the development of things in the country. And I also think that because the Supreme Court is working in the interest of the people,
yes,
it is to be placed before. And also the budget, which is very crucial. I think that the Supreme Court would give its verdict in less than 2 weeks so that there will be business as usual for everybody in the country. If anything, I would have wished that the Honorable Haruna Idrisu had kept silent over these matters, completely silent, in order not to attract the attention of the Speaker to the actions of the 4 members of Parliament who had left their parties, respective parties, in order to contest for the next elections as independent candidates. If that had happened, in terms of politics, all that NDC would have done would be to lobby or to whip the 3 members from the NPP side, so that there would be no need for suspension. And then there will be no need going to the Supreme Court, and then no need for their business to be curtailed until further notice. And then these 3 people would almost expectedly, at all times, vote in support of the minority. Because once they have made the intention very clear to go independent, the intention implicitly means that they are going to split the vote in their various constituencies. And that will have a very deadly effect on the NPP. So I think they acted a bit prematurely. But going forward, we say that it is part of the learning process and it is part of the development of our law, and there is a growth of democracy in the country.
Do you get the impressions, Lawyer Frimpong, that perhaps the Supreme Court is going to eventually give us a verdict which would seek to reinstate these 4 members to the original positions and ask that they sit it out until this Parliament runs out?
Please, I think if the Supreme Court would want to make any verdict or judgment for or against the interest of the 4 members of Parliament, it will not be because the Supreme Court is going to consider that there isn't much time and even their absence will not make any effect, and so they should be allowed to continue their work until the end of the lifespan of Parliament, and I mean the 4 years. No. In fact, even if it is left with 1 day for Parliament to end its life, and it turns out that Article 97 has rightfully been invoked, the Supreme Court will give effect to that. All said and done, I wouldn't want to say that whatever Aben is saying based on the fact that he knows the law very well as a lawyer, and then 2, he has rightfully explained it to everybody, and so the Supreme Court is going to be on its side. So, just as I'm not saying that the Supreme Court is going to rule otherwise, what is important is that the Supreme Court is the ultimate arbiter in all these matters. And whatever the Supreme Court says is going to bind the affairs of the Supreme Court itself and then other courts below the Supreme